some have described this as a goosebumps moment. And of course, as we celebrate Women's Day, gender equality and representation is under the spotlight. And Newzroom Afrika, along with others, are petitioning for the coat of arms to be changed to include women. Activist Lebogang Ramafoko joins me now to talk about gender inclusion in our national symbols. Good evening. Thank you so much for your time tonight. Let's just begin with, our national symbols and the importance of gender inclusivity when it comes to that debate at that level.
Well, I think the campaign is quite an interesting one. And for me, whether or not the coat of arms changes is not as important as how just focusing on the coat of arms as a national symbol just helps us understand how what we deem normal can be excluding to other people. So the fact that as a campaign you looked at the coat of arms and realized that women are not represented there is quite interesting, because the things that we deem normal, the things that we don't scrutinize, I certainly have not scrutinized the coat of arms as I have until you ran the campaign and realized that yes, women are not represented in this coat of arms. And the importance of representation, the importance of inclusion says that we cannot take the fact that there are groups that are not included in our national symbols as just one of those things, because one may view the exclusion as, oh no, now women want everything. Yes, we do want everything, and we want to be included in everything because we are also members of this society.
And some have criticized it tonight, saying that there should have been a bigger fight around, pay disparities, around, taking millions to the fight against hunger, instead of looking at, this particular highest emblem when it comes to change and gender inclusivity. Do you agree?
Well, I think everybody chooses a struggle that they want to focus on. That was the same thing that some members of our society said when street names wanted to be changed. A number of people lamented that it is a waste of money. But when you are affected by a street or a town called Verwoerd Avenue or Jan Smuts Avenue, and you know what the name Verwoerd or Jan Smuts means for you, and that it was a symbol of oppression, you don't expect the one that was not oppressed to understand why you want that name to be changed, why you are restoring a people's dignity by changing the name. But I hear what people are saying. However, for me, the issue is never about which one is a better struggle. At a point in time, one struggle may not be good for you. But in fact, as I started off by saying, whether or not the coat of arms changes is not as important for me as it helping us, this campaign helping us to scrutinize what have we taken as normal and how some of the symbols that we take as normal have excluded other people. And when you exclude, you are making choices. And one of the choices that you are making is you are basically saying, in a patriarchal society, even looking at the symbols and asking yourself whether or not they are inclusive and may not have entered your mind. In a society that does not take into consideration people living with disabilities, whether symbols accommodate them may not have come in mind. And from time to time, a society needs to ask itself, and I think this campaign does exactly that. Are our symbols inclusive? And you are looking at a coat of arms that cannot say it is inclusive.
And I'd like us to just listen to what the President had to say today in his address on Women's Day. And President Cyril Ramaphosa, they're saying that the country's made enormous progress with advancing gender equality since the heroic 1956 march to the Union buildings against draconian past laws and their impact on women. His comments come as the country celebrates Women's Day under the theme Generation Equality. The commemoration comes amid heightened concerns around gender-based violence.
64 years ago, our mothers, daughters, sisters and grandmothers and great-grandmothers stood defiant and proud, united in their demand to live in freedom. They stood not for themselves alone, but for the rights of the generations of women yet to come. This day provides all of us with an opportunity to reflect on the road we have traveled as a nation since then. As a country, we have made much progress that we can be proud of. We have made gains in advancing women's rights, in broadening women's access to education, in the provision of health care and social support to women, and in improving their participation in the economy and decision-making. At the same time, we know that the lived reality for millions of South African women is very different to the promise that is contained in our Constitution. We know that millions of South African women still live in conditions of poverty and unemployment. They face discrimination and violence all the time. To give effect to our commitment to the upliftment of women, South Africa has joined Generation Equality, a global campaign to achieve gender equality by 2030.
And tonight, we reflect on what the President has had to say. South Africa joining Generation Equality to, fast track and also ensure that gender inequality is addressed. What do you make of what the President had to say to women today?
I wish that the President, especially the ruling party, was not scoring its own goals. When we see, even within his cabinet, the way there are reports of gender-based violence and harassment by women, by even members of his cabinet. And I wish the President had emphasized just how, the country has failed women, and what is going to be done to make sure that the injustices that women face in this country are met with some seriousness. I think women are, do not believe that they've got support, that they can trust the government. And all the advances that he spoke about have not, as he himself says, delivered any significant changes in the lives of women. We do see that even with this lockdown, the people who are mostly affected are women, So it's very difficult to, when you've been an activist, to trust that what the President is saying is going to transform the lives of women out there. Our criminal justice system cannot be trusted, even when women speak out. We have not seen seriousness in dealing with a lot of just the 24 demands that 2 years ago women put in front of the President as part of the gender summit that came about as a call from the total shutdown. It's taken a long time to implement. This does not mean that no action has been taken. But, when you look and every day you open the papers and you look at just how many women are speaking out, this is not a society and a country that basically creates an enabling environment for women to feel safe, not in their homes, not in the streets, nowhere in society. Various industries where women are reporting sexual harassment. Every other week you wake up with, different industries. And, the entertainment industry has been in the news right now, not because the entertainers, because they are the news at the moment, around the atrocities, around sexual harassment that many women who work in this sector. And yet you've got a ministry. And how many times have people said very publicly that we don't think that this ministry serves us? We don't think that this ministry does what it's supposed to do, for women, So I wish, at least as an acknowledgement, the President was saying we have not done well. And the reasons why we have not done well is that even in a parliament, we have not addressed even amongst representatives, even in the ruling party, we have not really, challenged patriarchy. So year in, year out, there's a speech, it's sweet, we've done this, we've done that, but, when you really think that this is about women's lives, when you really think that this is about people losing their lives, you would wish that we were seeing a robust leadership. I mean, where is leadership even in the department that he has on, I don't know what it's even called right now, and it shows you just how ineffective it has been. And I'm not saying that work has not happened, but we need to recognize that it is too little, it is too slow, it is really held up within the wheels of government that basically churn very slowly, and certainly the ruling party itself has not covered itself in glory in terms of how some of the parliamentarians themselves are conducting their own lives. And I think it needs to come with a recognition that the women of South Africa, talk is cheap. Action is what is going to change the women of